Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Erik Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health, and a certified holistic nutritional therapy practitioner. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having a great life. Hope you're having a great week, month, year. Did we say life? We said life. Hope you're having a good one. Wherever it is, I hope you're feeling positive, and even if you're not feeling positive, that's okay. Who gives a shit? You don't got to be positive. It's okay to not be positive. In fact, it's actually sometimes better to not be positive. Sometimes it's okay to just be a sarcastic crab, right? Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to just be real. You know what I mean? Everyone should just be real. Just be real, yo. I'm just gonna be real with you. I'm just gonna be real. You ain't gonna be real. Be real. I'm real with you. Just be real, everybody. I'm be real with you all. I'm be real. Let's be real. All right, I'm be real. I'm be real serious now because I got some serious stuff to talk about on the podcast, mostly having to do with health. Actually, all of it has to do with health because I am steaming. I am steaming at the health news this week. Can you believe it? Maybe the health news that I'm dealing with this week is not what you're dealing with this week, because maybe this week is just a different week in the future. And that the health news that I'm going to talk about today has already been resolved. And you're looking back and you're like, man, weren't those the days when it was just so simple, Erik? But here we are in the future, and things have become infinitely more complicated and infinitely more difficult. Because what I'm going to talk about today are two of the biggest health stories infiltrating the world of nutritional, holistic health. Two of the biggest stories ever in the history of health. Today, what am I doing? Today I want to talk about two things that have popped up in the news that have caught my attention. And sometimes I like to just rap on here, and sometimes I like to get down to the nitty-gritty. Today we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. The first thing I want to talk about today is I want to talk about this study that has been circulating the interwebs for the last for the last week or so. And this study, the name of it is, that's not the one. This study is Meat Intake and Cancer Risk, a prospective analysis in UK Biobank. So this was put out there by the BMJ. I seem to always be referencing BMJ studies, which is crazy because they're not the only journal or publication out there. In fact, they're not one of even the better ones out there. There's, tons of them out there. There's JAMA. There's the New England Journal of Medicine. There's, the Neurobiology Journal. There's Nature. There's all these different journals, but somehow it's the BMJ. They got the ends with the mainstream mediums, and it just comes across my peripheral vision. And people start going El Loco, and I got to kind of take it and figure out what it is and then understand it and realize, it's just bullshit. But this one was actually interesting and part-time bullshit. I'm going to tell you why. So the reason this one made news, it's not because it's, great, another meat study that tells you meat's going to kill you, because, we've got a lot of those out there. And by the way, why are there so many studies out there that tell you that meat is going to give you cancer? What is that about? It's like, we get it. People who have cancer also tend to eat meat, but yet there's no ability for any scientist or researcher or anybody studying this stuff to actually put a causal relationship. You know why? Because sometimes people just do things and then they've got cancer. It's not like people are being studied in a controlled environment where for 20, 30 years, a scientist or a group of scientists is giving these people a ration of food and then seeing what happens. It's not like for 30 years, people are sitting in a room and they're only eating meat, and they're only eating one kind of meat, and then they get cancer. And then we can say, well, look, we can definitively say that it was this bacon or this ribeye or this turkey or whatever it was that gave this person cancer. Because the crazy thing about humans, call me old-fashioned, but in 24 hours in a day, most humans tend to be exposed to a lot of different things. And, call me even crazier, but I would say many of those things have carcinogenic properties, right? We could say that, okay, if you eat meat is many of these processed meats are what is it, like Schedule 1 carcinogenic or Class 1 carcinogenic, for what that's worth, right? But then they're also sitting in rooms that are, that have paint, that have lead in it. They're, walking on floors that have glue that get in their feet. That's carcinogenic. They, go outside their home. They breathe in air that's just, saturated with burnt oil and fossil fuels. That's carcinogenic. They're drinking water. It's not properly filtered. It's got all kinds of, toxic metabolites in it. It's carcinogenic. But we don't take any of that into consideration when we do these studies. We just say, look, people are eating meat and they just also happen to get cancer. So we can safely say that meat probably causes cancer. This is the kind of rationale that gets clicks on websites and drives people into a rage, to rush and go vegan, say, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. You know what I'm going to eat? I'm going to eat this soy-based, wheat-infused, glyphosate sprayed fake meat thing with 37 different ingredients in it that, were never seen by the human body before World War II. We're going to eat that instead of meat. And somehow we've convinced ourselves that that's healthier. And so that's what all of these studies are, But this particular one caught my eye because the headlines that I saw that linked to this study were all about chicken. Because in this study, this site didn't just single out red meat because that's what most of them do. They say red meat is linked to cancer. Red meat is linked to dude. Do you know how many different kinds of red meats there is? Do you know how many kinds of red meat there is? It's like when people say white people are evil. White people are evil. You know how many different types of white people there are? There's European white people. In European, there's French, British, Polish, German, there's Russian white people. There's, and they're all different, right? And it's the same thing with red meat, right? Are we gonna be racist with meat? There's different kinds of red meat. There's steak, there's beef. There's are steak and beef the same thing? Kind of, sort of. There's ground beef, right? There's, there's organ meats. There's, there's different cuts of steaks, right? So there's, you just say like red meat. Also, there's organic pasture-raised red meat versus meat that was eaten, that comes from an animal that was eating grains and corn. And I know there's a lot of vegans that are like, there's no difference. There's no difference between those two meats. They're the same thing. Meat is meat and meat. Doesn't matter what the animal. No, it does fucking matter what the animal ate, right? It completely matters what the animal ate, which is going to determine its body composition, which is the thing that you're eating. So if you're as a person just sat there and ate lollipops and candy and ice cream, you would have a completely different body composition than somebody who ate dark leafy greens all day, right? They're literally, you're literally changing the composition of an animal's body and then eating it and trying to call it the same thing. Also, what I noticed in these studies too is they never get granular. No, I'm fucking gonna say it. They never get granular in these goddamn studies, right? So like this study here, I've jumped off into like 5 different tangents. The reason this study caught my attention is because it didn't just talk about red meat, but the headline was that chicken gives you cancer. Because they also studied people's intake of chicken. And chicken, for years, has gotten off scot-free, right? red meat has taken the fall hardcore on the cancer tip, on the diabetes tip, on the cardiovascular disease tip. Everyone's like, I can't eat red meat, right? If you go out to eat, you don't even look at the options of red meat. You don't look at the sirloin. You don't look at the ribeye. You don't look at the New York strip. You don't even look at the burger because you think, well, I'm on a diet. I can't eat that, so I got to eat white meat. Why the white meat got to be the good meat? Why the white meat is not the good meat? The white meat is garbage. The white meat is even more garbage than the red meat. The white meat is fucking standard deviations higher of garbage than the freaking red meat. That's what I think about it. And I've been saying this forever, okay? You can actually go on my YouTube page and see videos going back, I believe, 3 years ago, where I was talking about how how chicken is fucking garbage, right? Now, I do eat chicken from time to time because, look, there's only like so much red meat I can eat and that I can afford because it does kind of get a little expensive, and I like to mix it up a little bit. And, when it comes to like when you're a meat eater, it's like chicken's chicken, right? But I'm not eating it thinking that this is any healthier for me than red meat. The reason chicken is hot garbage is for a couple reasons. So number one, chicken has no fat, right? Most people eat chicken breast, okay? So if you just eat like a plain chicken breast, you don't get any of the good parts that any of the nutrition for your body. So yeah, you're going to get protein, okay? You're going to get choline, okay? But you're not getting the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you get from something like red meat. Because if you eat red meat, specifically if you eat red meat organs, you're getting B vitamins, you're getting B12, you're getting B6, you're getting B1, B2, you are getting, I believe you might be getting folate, you're 100% getting choline, you're getting good omega-3 fats. In chicken typically, especially the way that chicken is raised in America, chicken is full of omega-6 fats, which are the bad fats, and you're not getting all those B vitamins, and you're not getting the good fat, right? That's the big one. You want fat. I cannot emphasize this enough, and no, I'm not pushing something like the keto diet on anybody, but what I'm saying is that what you want in your diet is a good source of fat, because fat is what triggers the cholecystokinin production in the duodenum, all right? That's the top part of your gastrointestinal system, the top part where the stomach acid is, just below where the stomach acid is. In the duodenum, this is between your stomach and your small intestine. This little part right here is very important because it will secrete an enzyme known as cholecystokinin. And when this enzyme, it's either an enzyme or a hormone. I think it's a hormone actually. When this hormone gets secreted, it does a lot of great things. It's good for your brain. It's good for your gallbladder, because what happens is that hormone triggers the release of bile from your gallbladder. And it's only triggered in the presence of fat. If you don't have fat, then you're not triggering cholecystokinin, which means your gallbladder is not emptying. If your gallbladder doesn't empty, then your gallbladder gets congested with bile. You get bile globules in there. This is where people start having gallbladder stones, gallbladder attacks. And then what happens? You go to the doctor, and if you dare tell your doctor that you got any kind of distress in your gallbladder, your doctor, almost like a reflex, almost like you cracked him in the knee and he fucking kicked you in the face, he reaches for his knife and he's like, let's get that motherfucker out of you. Go out there, talk to Stacy at the front desk, make yourself an appointment to come back ASAP so I can rip your gallbladder right out of your body. And guess what happens at that point? He makes money, the insurance company makes money, everybody's happy, and you become even more of a patient for life. You become a returning customer, because now you got to go back there again. You got to get your gallbladder cut out. You got to go back for a reevaluation. Make sure your shit's not drippity drip, 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 because that's what happens when you lose your gallbladder, is the bile starts drippity drip, 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 all up in your body, because you need the bile duct to transport the bile, which is made in your liver, which is what gets toxins out of your body in the first place. It does that with the gallbladder. If you got no gallbladder, where the hell does the bile go? I don't fucking know. Goes somewhere in your bloodstream. People have all kinds of problems once they lose their gallbladder with digestion, okay? So you absolutely 100% need fat, specifically saturated fat, in your diet. Vegans dealing with gallbladder issues is rampant because they're not getting fat. Vegetarians, low-fat dieters, all these people are missing out on fat and they're getting their gallbladders cut out. Oh, well, look, I'm doing the thing they told me to do. I'm not killing innocent animals. Well, you're killing your stupid self. You're killing your dumb self because you had to think that you saw a fucking documentary on Netflix and you think that cow farts are making the polar ice caps melt, and you're saying to yourself, well, how do I fix this? How do I single-handedly fix this problem so I can white knight and fucking virtue signal to everybody around me that I'm superior, that I am far superior to everybody around me? I'm going to go vegan. Well, guess what? Your health just went to shit. How's that feel? How's that feel, right? So when they start shitting on red meat, I just put a big goddamn middle finger up to it and I say, you're an idiot. Do your goddamn research, right? I don't say that. I'm actually quite nice about it, as you can tell. But chicken gets off scot-free, and we can't do it anymore. We can't let chicken just fucking cluck around like it's the king of the cocks. We can't let chicken just walk around like it's, like this is 1997 and we're all trying to get fucking jacked from a muscle and fitness magazine, that we're just going to eat 18 chicken breasts a day and 4 servings of broccoli and some rice, and we're going to call that health. Those days are over. They're over. You got to eat red meat, right? And you got to get the hell out of the way of chicken, because chicken wants to kill you. Chicken is very angry about the abuse that it's taken over the last, years of being caged up and pooping on each other and eating the other chicken's poops, and then that is ending up in your grocery store, and we're eating that, and we're like, chicken's healthy, it's white meat. That's not. Doesn't matter. Stop being racist with your goddamn meat. Just eat the dark meat. It's better for you. Eat the stuff with the fat. Eat good pasture. And by the way, if you're gonna eat chicken, get it from an organic pasture farm. Don't fuck around with the chicken in the grocery store. That shit is trying to kill you. I promise you. Eat it. The stuff that was raised by a farmer who walked out there every day and was like, hey, chicken, and actually put the chicken feed out there, and they ate bugs and worms and grew to be like chickens grow to be. Those are the chickens you got to eat. So what is my problem with this study? Well, my problem with this study is the same problem I have with every single one of these food studies that come out, where they tell you that this thing is linked to cancer, because the way that they did this was, it was, hey, 500,000 participants in the UK between 37 and 73 years old who were all cancer free at baseline. And basically what they did was they just gave people like these food surveys, and they, asked them questions or whatever. And, after 5 years, just so happens to be that the people who ate meat had higher or processed meat, or whatever that means. I don't know what, like, they always talk about processed meat, but they never tell you what does the processed meat, what does that mean? What does that include? Tell me. Is that bacon? Is that ham? Is that salami? Is that what are we talking about? Are we lumping ribeyes in with processed meat? What the hell are we? What specifically is the cancer causing meat? We never know. They just keep it very ambiguous, very broad. People go in, they answer these questions, and just so happens the people who eat meat, get more cancer. Okay, so what are we're supposed to say? Oh, we're supposed to go vegan. We're supposed to go vegetarian and just skip out on the meat. But folks, let me tell you something. We don't know these people's lifestyles. We don't know what else they're subject to. Most importantly, let's just assume then that, okay, fine. There's a strong correlation between people who eat meat and getting cancer. Okay, fine. I can get down with that. But here's also the other problem, is how are they preparing the meat? Because this is actually a very important piece of the conversation that never gets discussed, okay? Because we know that the char marks that go on to meat when you put meat on a grill, let's say, which is how a lot of people cook meat. If you char it over charcoal, that is carcinogenic. If you cook meat in a pan with vegetable oil, that is carcinogenic. So when we're talking about meat, is it the meat that is actually, quote unquote, causing or correlating to cancer? Or is it the other shit that it's being prepared in? Wouldn't that be a great study? I don't know if that study exists. It might. I haven't seen it. And I never hear this nuance come up, ever. Even amongst proponents of, the keto, the paleo, or the carnivore diet. A lot of these carnivore people too, like they're eating meat raw, which is look, I don't know if that's such a bad thing. I also don't know if it's such a good thing. I really don't know much about that world, and quite frankly, I can't really comment because I don't eat meat raw, but I do eat it very rare. And when I cook it in animal fat. I cook meat in butter or in lard or in tallow, because when you cook anything in animal fat, the specific fat molecule does not break down in heat. If you cook with oil, if you're one of these people, which is a lot of people out there, that coats your cooking pan with olive oil, when that shit starts to get smoky, that means that fat is rancid. That means you've not only just burnt the fat, oh, big deal, I don't care about that, Eric. Well, here's what's happened, is as soon as you rancidify that fat, it becomes completely toxic to your body. Your body takes that shit, puts it in, and that shit goes in your body and causes mayhem. It causes inflammation. It causes reactive oxygen species. Basically, it causes free radicals, which are what lead to cancer growth. So when we're talking about meat, I want to know, how are these people cooking their meat? I would almost guarantee, especially if they're, if they're disgusting British people, hey, British people, that they're cooking it with very poor cooking hygiene, right? They're burning it over a grill, carcinogenic. They're burning it in a pan coated with olive oil, or even worse, vegetable oil, or even worse, canola oil, carcinogenic. Find me the study where somebody's eating grass-fed, pasture-raised meat cooked to just basically, kind of rare, or maybe even like slightly medium rare. And they're cooking it responsibly in butter or in ghee or in lard or in tallow. Find me those people and let's see that study. And if that study comes back and says all these people got cancer, or, a statistically significant number of them got cancer, hey, I'm happy to take all those words, shove them right up my ass, and go vegan again. I don't think I'll ever go vegan again, but I'm happy to concede the fact that you're right. Also, the funny thing is the people who were in this study, ages 37 to 73 years old. Okay. So let me see. I'm just reading through the thing here. Participants were diagnosed with any type of cancer. Red meat intake was positively associated with colorectal cancer and prostate cancer. Processed meat intake was positively associated with risk for colorectal cancer. Poultry intake was positively associated with risk malignant melanoma, prostate cancer, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Who of the 37 to 73-year-old people were diagnosed with those? Were it the people who were older and were more at risk for those diseases anyway? Because, when you start getting into your 50s, 60s, 70s, you are just more at risk for getting chronic disease and cancer than you are at in your late 30s or even your 40s. If you were 73 in this study and you marked that you didn't have cancer, were you 100% sure that you didn't have cancer? Because there might have been a chance that you might have possibly maybe had cancer and then developed it. Again, all of these little pieces of nuance you're not going to find unless A, you read the study, which you can't read because the full study isn't available online, or B, they just didn't account for it in the first place, and we're just doing a general food survey to see, well, do people eat meat? Do they get cancer? If they get cancer, you need to go vegan. Cow farts are killing the earth. Little baby polar bear's gonna be living in Florida in 11 years. We know this shit. We got to be smarter than it. Okay, that's my only point. Next story. This one kind of hits a little closer to home. Just today, actually, the President Donald J. Trump, greatest president ever, walked the streets of Pennsylvania Avenue. President Trump put an order, or I think he's like lobbying for an order to basically halt the production of flavored e-cigarettes, because in the last couple weeks, again, I'm recording this in the second week of September, there's been almost 500 cases of lung diseases reported to the CDC related to inhalation of flavored vaporized cigarettes. Specifically, I think they're looking at the Juul, and they're looking at the what are those things? The THC vapes, vape pens. That's what they're called. I should know. I have one. They're talking about vape pens, and they're talking about people are getting very sick because of vape pens, and that is that's really terrible. There's been an outbreak of lung illnesses associated with e-cigarette products. I'm reading the CDC site right now. This is on the CDC site, so it's supposed to be serious, right? I say supposed to be because, look, in the last years since I've learned about, shenanigans in the vaccine industry, and kind of how the CDC is involved with all that, I really have my doubts about a lot of the reports that the CDC puts out. But if we're talking about like the authority on health numbers, I mean, right, we're going to go with the CDC as a starting point. And then we can kind of work back from there, deconstruct it. And is this real? I don't even know. You know what I mean? They're saying that 6 people have died. Six deaths have been confirmed, and they're linked to these e-cigarettes. And so, of course, the news outlets, this is a story. They're going to take it. They're going to run with it. And look, I'm torn on this one because as a weed vapor, a THC vaping dude, this one hits close to home for me. So I do have a lot of, confirmation bias going on where it says, well, it can't be true. It can't be. I don't want it to be true, so it can't be true. Like, I have a lot of that going on. But as the holistic a-hole, I also know that, when it comes to something like vaping or smoking, what are we doing? We're taking a substance and we're putting it in our lungs, and this is not how our bodies have evolved 2 million years, have never seen this before, right? Our bodies evolved 2 million years. At some point they started seeing tobacco come in there. I don't know. I don't know the history of weed. I don't know when people first started smoking weed, but it's often hypothesized people have been smoking weed for a long, long time. I've read about different herbs that people are smoking. People smoke fucking, I don't know, lemon balm and oat straw and rhodiola. I don't know, but I have heard that people do smoke herbs. In fact, smoking herbs is the most effective way to get it into your system, versus like a tincture or a pill or something. Oh my God, my freaking fire alarm's going off. Hold on a second. Okay. And we're back. I hope this works because my fire alarm just went off. house isn't burned down, thank God. But man, I've had some drama with my smoke alarm lately. You know, part of me just wants to take the thing out and just kind of put it to the side, but part of me is like, what the fuck if what if my apartment just catches on fire and I'm just sleeping through the whole thing? I need that thing. Drama. We're talking about vapes though. So you know, I do know too that with these vapes, it's like it's not just the herb or the oil, it's also the component parts of these things. And I think specifically the problem that they're finding in a lot of these e-cigarettes and these THC vapes is they're finding adjuvant ingredients that shouldn't be in there. Somebody somewhere is fucking splicing these things with goddamn, they're calling it vitamin E. It's fucking canola oil. They're putting goddamn canola oil in the fucking vapes, in the vape pens, which is so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Why would you do that? What purpose does that have? Does it have a purpose? I heard about this probably 6 months ago or a year ago, that this was a thing that was happening, you know, and it fucking scared me. So, you know, the last vape pens that I've personally gotten, you know, from dispensaries. You know, I have here in Puerto Rico, I go to a dispensary and I asked them specifically, I'm like, is there any of this shit in there? Is there vitamin E oil? Is there sunflower seed oil, or is there canola oil? I'm like, no, we don't do that. This is medicine. When you go to a dispensary, when you go to a medical dispensary, it's supposed to be regulated as medicine. So why would they do that, you know? But at the same time, why would they put fucking aluminum in vaccines? Why would they put, you know, aborted, monkey baby fetus or whatever in the vaccines? We don't know. Who knows what's doing this shit, right? But as far as I know, if you get it from a reliable source, this is like black market shit, you know? This is like, you know, you're meeting a dude. I don't want to say like you're meeting a dude in a dark alley, but you're getting it from somewhere. You don't know where it comes from. The weed market is totally unregulated. You know, and I've heard people talk who have been in these labs where they make the stuff, and in these manufacturing plants where they make this stuff, and they've said like, look, I've seen some fucked up shit in the weed industry. So yeah, there's you know, the weed industry has grown, I mean, exponentially in just a short amount of time. So yeah, you've got jokers trying to get in there, trying to cut their shit with some bullshit and then sell it on the black market. And look, if you're a weed smoker, you don't care. You're like, just fucking vape pen? Are you serious? Yes, give me a vape pen. Vape pen's awesome. Problem with weed is if you smoke it on the street, everyone knows you're smoking weed. If you smoke a goddamn vape pen, nobody cares. Nobody's looking. You're just another weirdo vaping, right? So I don't even know if that's the problem, you know, because at the same time, I see people vaping, and vaping is out of control, dude. Vaping is just it's so out of control. The idea of vaping to begin with is definitely a public nuisance. I've seen it. The amount of kids that vape, it's just completely unacceptable, man. It's just so unacceptable. Like, to be a 15, 16-year-old kid and you're just toking on these jewels all day, or these, you know, these Harry Potter wizard, you know, vapes where you're just giant fucking clouds just everywhere of vape stuff. You know, they're putting, obviously you're dealing with a ton of weird ingredients, you know, because they're flavoring these things to taste like, you know, lemon meringue cheesecake or whatever. And it's like, yeah, of course they're putting in crazy ass ingredients, and you're puffing that, and your people are puffing it from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep. So if you're taking that many puffs of some toxic shit, yeah, stuff's gonna be, you know, people are gonna get sick, right? Me, from the vape pen, and people I know who toke on the weed vape pen, I don't know. I haven't experienced anything. I run you know, several 5Ks a week. I work out 4 days a week. You know, and now I'm jumping in the pool. I've got a lot of energy. Could just be from my diet. I'm not going to sit here and say the vape pen is making me healthy. That would be completely irresponsible. I'm not saying anybody should go out and buy a vape pen. I'm not saying that you should defy that, you know, this news of what's going on. Because for all I know, it could be real. right? It could be absolutely real. We could be staring down, a giant health epidemic because of all these people, including myself, that vape. But at the same time, when I see the CDC put out numbers like this, I'm always kind of suspicious. It's the same thing with the studies, that you got to ask questions. You just got to be a little smarter than this and say, well, okay, 6 people died, and they're attributing it to the vaping. But how are you attributing it to the vaping? How do we even know we don't know what their conditions are. I don't know what they die from. They died from vaping. You can't die from vaping. You can die from heart disease. You can die from lung disease. Was it lung disease because they were vaping? Okay, fine. And all they did was vape? Okay, we could get down with that. We could say, okay, there's some tie. Or did they have other complicating issues in their health history? How old were these people? I don't know. What was their pre-existing conditions? I don't know. A lot of questions I got to ask. And 6 people have died out of how many people that vape? 450 are sick with these lung illnesses. Are they only vaping? Are they also smoking? Can we say that there's a connection between vaping and smoking? Did they just completely quit smoking and only vaped? How often are they vaping? What exactly are they vaping? Like, this is the information we got to know. But, at the same time, look, I'm a holistic nutritional therapist. I understand the complications that can come from putting foreign substances in your body. So I'm also not saying that it's complete bullshit, but that I do have my questions, and I do want those questions answered. God damn it, CDC, you punk ass bitches, just lying about the goddamn vaccines. Now you expect me to believe you when it comes to this shit? You can't be the boy who cried wolf. You can't be the boy who cried vaccine, and then expect me just to get on board with this whole vaping thing. Also, look, if you're a parent and your kid vapes, it's got to be difficult. I understand. If you're a person who quit smoking and you're vaping now, it's got to be difficult. I understand. But, we got to be responsible with this shit. It's just the thing of like people just abusing this technology, It serves a purpose, just like everything. There's a point in vaping, right? There's totally a point to vape, but when you wake up and the first thing you do is reach for your vape, and then all throughout the day, it's like every couple minutes you're toking on a vape. I mean, yeah, dude, if you're going through cartridges in just a day or two, you got a problem, man. You got a problem. So keep your own house clean, be vigilant of your own health, and if you do have complications, if you are a vapor and you start to feel this shit in your lungs, in your throat, if you start getting kind of weird illnesses, weird sickness going on, you again monitor, be cognizant of what's going on with your body. If you're an athlete and you vape and you find that running is harder now than it used to be, I mean, put 2 and 2 together, right? You who knows? Maybe it is, and if it is, dude, I'm the first one to tell you. It's like we gotta stop it. So I'm sure more will develop as time goes on, and I am interested to see how it works out. For myself, I've been kind of scared straight with this a little bit, but at the same time, I have to kind of play it by ear and be responsible myself. So, we'll see what happens. But it's a tough thing. Both these stories have been tough, haven't they? I really enjoy talking to you guys about these things. Let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, shoot me a message on Instagram, on Facebook, Holistic A-Holes Facebook group, Instagram at Holistic A-Hole. That's where you're going to find me and all my fun stories, and the YouTube, Holistic A-Hole YouTube page. That's where I'm at. If you love the podcast, please go on to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, and I will be sure to catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Have a great day.